Hello, magic makers, and welcome back to the Metaphysical Apothecary. We are your hosts, Megan and Shannon. Say hi, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
We are also known as the Scorpio Sisters, and we are here to explore the mysterious, magical, and the arcane. There are so many different familiars that you can explore and call on. In addition to Pokemon, there are many other fandoms that you can explore for this. Avatar, again, is one of my favorite because you've got dragons, yes, but you've also got the six-legged sky bison that the airbenders bond with. They've got a lot of wisdom, but also a lot of attitude. And they're these big, heavy, fuzzy creatures that fly. They don't look like they should be able to, but they do. They can teach you about different kinds of lightness, different kinds of power, different kinds of contradiction in your life and how those things actually do fit together nicely. There's a lot of chimeric creatures in the Avatar universe as well. They almost never talk about an animal that's not blended with some other kind of animal. There's owl cat, turtle ducks, and polar bear dogs. If you feel drawn to do different kinds of animals, this might be a good universe to mine for a good familiar, because you might be able to find something that's a combination of the two energies you're looking for.
Within the Harry Potter Wizarding World universe is Fantastic Beasts. There is the book that was released before the movies, but then there's also the movies who have given us a more detailed and broader understanding of just what kind of Fantastic Beasts might exist in the Harry Potter universe beyond the school textbook that was originally published. You had the three-headed dog, who's also a Greek mythological creature. You had the dragons, and then Fantastic Beasts was released, and you have these different creatures that are quite gorgeous on screen.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is the moon calf that we see Jacob feeding when he first enters the suitcase.
Yes.
These are gentle, adorable, beautiful creatures. We have no other real reference for them outside of a little blurb in the book and the little bit we have on screen where Jacob's surrounded by a herd of them, and they're pushy, but they're not aggressive. They're very cute and fluffy and wanting attention and wanting food.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that moon calf is also willing to be, or is your familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have the Niffler. Everyone loves the Niffler.
It's the Niffler who likes to collect shiny things.
Yes.
So they would make an excellent familiar when you're going tracking to find treasure in your own life. So internal treasure or even external treasure. If you want to focus on abundance, you can call on your Niffler and say, hey, I'm starting a gratitude practice, or I want to enhance my gratitude practice, or I want to recognize the abundance in my life. I need you with me while I'm searching out all the little treasures that are studded throughout my existence that I can't see. Help me find them. Another one that came to mind from Harry Potter specifically that I absolutely love is the Thestral.
Yeah.
They're so sweet and gentle and misunderstood. Nobody wants to think about Thestrals because they represent something that nobody wants to think about. But if you have a Thestral as your familiar, you can call on them to walk with you through parts of your journey that you don't necessarily want to think about. They can help carry and guide you through those pieces of your journey.
Yeah, I was about to say they can carry you through. You can ride them.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you recognize them and are able to see them, it means that you've been through something traumatic in your life. They're a representation of what the trauma looks like versus what the trauma is able to do for you when you begin the healing process. It can become something very magical and uplifting because you've needed to do a lot of introspection and perform a lot of self-care and compassion to get through that piece of your life. Thinking about shape-shifting creatures, werewolf, for instance, that's a mythological horror creature.
Mm-hmm.
Werewolves, as far as we know, are not real.
Yep.
But you can still invoke werewolf energy and call on werewolf as your familiar, calling on both the human and the wolf-like aspects of this being. Very often, werewolves are characterized as quite violent, but newer stories are characterizing werewolves as more guardians of their loved ones, of their people. And wolves themselves, there's a lot of magical aspects that you could dive into there. So if you feel a particular need for a lot of protection during a working, along with the need for the wolf's particular energy, whether that's community, whether it has something to do with the wolf's senses and being able to hunt effectively or something of that nature, you can call on a werewolf to come and settle in and be your familiar, even temporarily. It doesn't have to be a permanent thing either.
Mm-hmm. Familiar energy does not have to be permanent. In fact, it's very rarely permanent. Anyone who has a familiar knows that at some point in time, that familiar will be leaving you. They will be crossing a rainbow bridge because that's the life cycle. They may be with you for a longer period of time than a pop pantheon familiar feels obligated to be your familiar at that point in time. But familiars are not permanent to you and your craft, to you and your practice. You can always not have a familiar with you. Even if you happen to have a familiar, the familiar might not be interested in whatever you're working on.
Right.
Or it could be that you have a woodland creature that just happens to decide to perch on your windowsill when you're doing a working it likes and then goes away. So with Pop Pantheon familiars, the same thing can hold true, where you can invite a werewolf to be your familiar for that working or for a period of workings, and it will appear and be with you energetically, and then turn around and say, okay, you don't need me anymore. I know you don't need me. You think you need me. I know you don't.
Yep. It behooves us to trust their instincts, because for all our ability to philosophize, human beings are, especially modern human beings, are very deeply removed from the natural world. And animals, whether they're Pop Pantheon animals or real living animals, are much more attuned to the rhythms of the natural world. So if they feel a current or a rhythm that we're not aware of in the natural world, in the alignment of the energy that we're pulling together, and know that they don't need to be a part of it, we need to trust that. It could also be a sign that we're not supposed to be doing this particular working.
If you are able to discern when they know they don't need to be present versus they know you don't need to be doing this, that's probably a good leg up.
Another fandom that you can draw familiars from is Star Wars, especially the newer movies. There are so many creatures and beings that have different capabilities and different anatomy and different energy. The one that I can think of off the top of my head is the Dianoga from the trash compactor scene in the original film. Star Wars Episode 4, the Dianoga in the trash compactor scene, where it just comes up and it like looks around and it's just basically a stalk with an eye on it. But if you're going through something that looks like just a big old pile of garbage, Dianoga energy might be able to help you slog through that and find a way out, or figure out a use for the garbage, because garbage didn't used to exist. It's a modern invention. So the Dianoga might be able to show you, hey, look, this isn't garbage. I live here. This is a good place to be. There's lots of resources.
Familiars that I've worked with that are from the Addams Family fandom. You could call on Homer, who's Wednesday's pet spider, Aristotle, who is Pugsley's pet octopus, Cleopatra, who is Morticia's pet carnivorous plant. Or what I actually have done is work with thing energy as a familiar. I have physical representations of what I hold to be thing, candle holders. I have done workings where thing is holding the candle for me and burning a candle while I'm working through something magically. I've used him to help with magic that was done with me and one another person who had not done magic in the past, who was only just starting to come to their magical path and understanding. I used his familiar energy to lend them a hand. Ha ha, wink, wink. In order to allow the energy to unfold the way it needs to unfold without any kind of mishaps, because Thing is really good at making sure things go the way they're supposed to go. I've also Thing energy. He's standing on his wrist and holding something, which he also does very often in both the series and the movie, and passing the energy on me for what he's holding. It's because he gets things done. He communicates very well. He lends a hand when a hand is needed. He's a very helpful energy in my workings. I find to be very willing to be a part of the work. He's very willing to be in the working, in the spell, in the circle, in the magic, contributing to the magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for the most part, people will not think of hand as a familiar because it's a human body part. But Thing, while he's not seen as a pet by the Addams family, he's also given a lot more freedom than a human is.
Mm-hmm. Right down to the fact that when they have the sleeping scenes in the films, Thing is usually asleep on somebody's chest.
Yes. Thing also happens to wake up a newborn baby by slapping it on its behind. And thus, in my universe, a witch was born.
I mean, that's just peak goth right there.
Yes. In my universe, that was the birth of a non-Addams family member.
Yep.
That's all we have on the topic for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we hope you'll join us again. In the meantime, you can follow us on our blog for some more witchy wisdom, as well as check out some of our original art on Society 6 for sacred decor and more. Thank you again for joining us, and go make some magic and live your best life. Bye.
Bye, everyone.